128 days ago, this baby tortoise was just an egg in the ground. But what you're witnessing is not just a baby tortoise hatching, it's the continuation of a species that's been on our planet for more than 20 million years. This is a baby radiated tortoise, and I'm the very first thing it's getting to see. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this little baby, Astrochelys radiata, Madagascar's beautiful, iconic radiated tortoise. This is a brand new 2025 hatchling, the very first one to hatch here this year and the very first one to hatch here in quite a long time because our adults for some reason took a little time off from actually being reproductive, and this little baby has changed all of that for us in just the last 3 days. It began pipping out of its egg just 3 days ago by using the little caruncle or egg tooth at the end of the snout to start popping through and actually slicing open its hard-shelled egg. And then when the baby was just about ready to come out, we set up a camera and got a beautiful time lapse of it emerging, using its feet to walk on for the very first time, and it actually, right out of the egg, began interacting with me, which is something that, coming from somebody who hatches so many of these animals in the last 3 decades, has never really experienced before. For some reason, I just felt a little bit daring to see how this baby would react to me, and it actually started doing that. I was able to pet it a little bit. It nestled into my fingers at one point. It started tromping around, and something really remarkable, it actually started eating immediately. Now, when baby turtles and tortoises are born, they hatch with something called a yolk sac, similar to an umbilical cord. And what happens is that yolk sac gets absorbed through the belly button and it feeds them for the first 7 days of life. So they're not usually hungry right away out of the egg, but this little one is special. It had an appetite immediately. And not only was it trying to find food on its own, but it actually started taking little pieces of a leaf right from my fingertips. What an unbelievable moment that I'm never going to forget, and I hope you don't either. Your mental health is something that you absolutely should not ignore, and that's coming from somebody who is in therapy. Earlier this year, Casey, the one behind the camera doing this for all of you guys, was diagnosed with epilepsy. So this is a great time to bring up today's sponsor, Grow Therapy. When your best friend, your partner and everything, your spouse comes down with something like epilepsy or anything, there's no guidebook for how to handle it. So many people think that because we get to do what we love, that it's not stressful or heartbreaking. But let me tell you, the pressures are unbelievable. And being able to have a therapist at your fingertips, it can help you in so many different ways. Just simply learning those breathing techniques can help you calm down from a situation that you are later on able to look back on and say, you know what, that wasn't worth getting that stressed out about. So not only is Grow Therapy right at your fingertips, but they accept more than 100 different insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. This is not a subscription service, which is absolutely huge. You pay per session, and you also get to pick your therapist by reading detailed bios and credentials. And just when you think you may not have the right person to talk to, you can choose from more than 19,000 vetted therapists based on gender, language preferences, you name it, they've got it. Having therapy, I promise you, can truly help. And the fact that it's affordable, that's even better. To learn more about Grow Therapy, head to the link in the description of this video or just scan the QR code on the screen for a quicker way to get support and find that therapist that you need. Trust me, guys. It's worth it. Now, radiated tortoises, aside from being arguably the planet's most beautiful tortoise species, have some other really interesting facts about them. They have incredible spatial memory. So what that means is animals in the wild of Madagascar that have been relocated to areas they're unfamiliar with, they can find their way home, even though they are miles and miles away from it. Being native to the southern dry regions of Madagascar, these animals can go months and months and months without ever getting a drop of water, because when they do come in contact with water, not unlike some other arid-dwelling species, they create reserves inside their body and they hold on to that water. And that keeps them going for such a long time. They can even go without food for that long as well. They really are built for survival. But the main threat, and really the only threat to them in today's world, is us humans. They're eating them in Madagascar, folks. These beautiful, gorgeous animals that can attain a carapace length of upwards of 18 inches. So they're not a small animal, and they're also heavily poached for the pet trade worldwide because of the sheer beauty. So this little tiny 3-day-old Astrochelys radiata can take more than 20 years to reach full size or sexual maturity, which means this animal, if it's a female, it won't won't even lay an egg until it is 20 years old. And at that point, it is a mere fraction of its age because these animals can live to be upwards of almost 200 years old. Look at that. That animal saw me for the very first time, and it can live to be 200 years old. A species that diverged from other turtle and tortoise species more than 40 million years ago. He has an internal parasitic infection, so we ran fecals on the rest of the group, and as it turns out, several other animals are carrying flagellates. I've got to collect the rest of the group and start medicating them now, but man, do I have a job ahead of me. It's a tall task to come out here every single day and have to do this with 60 tortoises. Gotta be safe instead of being sorry. There, buddy. There you go. It's fascinating to think about what's happening here. Obviously, this is a negative situation, but it's only a negative situation because they're in a captive situation. Now, of course, I'm not talking bad about responsible captive keeping of tortoises and turtles. In the wild, these animals carry healthy loads of various parasites, and they're kept in check because they're moving across expansive areas. They're not feeding from the same area twice. In the wild, the tortoises may eat a certain plant or a certain seed that would help get rid of a parasite load if it starts getting out of check. But in captivity, they don't necessarily have access to those kinds of things. And if something happens with one animal and then you easily spread it to another group, that's how you end up with an outbreak. But there's no reason to panic over something like this. This is still to a certain extent natural. These animals carry things no matter what, but even though there are risks with parasites coming in contact with these animals, like through bird poop, outdoor keeping still supersedes indoor keeping by all means, especially if you live in a favorable area. The only time they spend a great deal of time indoors is if they are showing signs of being very ill, like the one male Western Hermann's tortoise, Big Guy, that's in there for the winter. It's important that we keep things in check, but that we don't wipe out the gut. Because if you give them the wrong dosage and you keep doing it, you're gonna wipe out the gut flora, and then the animal can't even digest food properly. Can you see this? If you guys look closely, you see those little white things? Those are little tiny worms. They're all dead and they're being expelled because of the worming medication that we're using. So parasites, not necessarily a bad thing. Bad thing when they become infested. And we don't even know that these animals are infested. We're just doing this as a precaution because we like to stay on top of our animals at all times. All right. We're in our Yucatan box turtle pen because it's time for the Yucatan box turtles to come inside for the winter. Why is that? Because this is not the Yucatan Peninsula, folks. This is southern New Jersey, and although the animals have gotten to stay outside all the way well into November now, they can't stay out much longer because in the Yucatan Peninsula, it typically only gets down to about 17 degrees Celsius, which is 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's one right here. She's got her eyes closed. She's a little bit chilly, nothing too bad. She'll warm up nicely indoors. It's one of the females. Here is our male. He's slightly warmer because his shell is exposed to the sun. Look at that, he's using that hinge. See how tightly closed up he is? This right here, that's that classic hinge, and that is that amazing, unique adaptation that these animals have to avoid predation. Here is a very old female. Look at that. Look how old she is. But, you know, old for a box turtle is a different story for you and I. Okay, she's definitely chilly. Now, there is a record that suggests there's a small town in the Yucatan Peninsula, I forget the name of it off the top of my head, where the record was actually 0 degrees Celsius, which would be 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Nonetheless, they don't get extensive cold there. They get wet and dry seasons, so they just can't stay out here. Got one more to get. We got live plants, some hanging, some planted, low areas, high areas, plenty of logs and driftwoods, 2 water areas, some small boulders to help build up the higher areas, plenty of leaf litter, and even some moss. And now all we need is our box turtles. And for the next probably 4, maybe 5 months, they will be living in here in our reptile building, safe and sound, humid and warm.
Perfect costume.
You like that?
Yeah, for the trunk or treat. Second of all, what's a Texas tortoise? What's different about
they're
that? Maybe
one of
different features or something.
No, they're well. They do. They have a distinct look, but they're one of the 5 Native American tortoises. So all the other tortoises in the world come from other continents or other parts of the world. But the Texas tortoise is one of 5 tortoises found in North America.
All right.
There's two different types of desert tortoise. The gopher tortoise in Florida, the Texas tortoise in Texas, and the Bolson's tortoise in New Mexico.
Every day with you. That's the truth, man.
There you go.
Like going back to school, education again.
I like to hear that. All right, man. Thanks. Okay. So excited about this animal. Okay, cool. Get her out of here. Now, these are standard, humane shipping regulations that are being followed here to send these animals. I know it's alarming to see an animal in a box, but if sending the animal in a box is gonna get it into its lifelong safe situation, then that's how you gotta do it. And all proper IATA regulations to legally ship these animals have been followed. Oh, she is gorgeous. Look at her. Oh, folks, this is a brand new Texas tortoise. We already have two of these. Many of you have probably seen Iris, our female, in videos. We also have a male named Drew, and now we have this brand new young female. Texas tortoises, also known as Berlander's tortoise, Gopherus berlandieri, which is their Latin name, are one of the few American tortoises. Those tortoises that are native to the United States of America, highly protected tortoises that really are in need of conservation and all other measures to help keep them around for years to come. And the Texas tortoise is the smallest of the American tortoise species. But wow, absolutely beautiful. This animal was actually obtained legally by someone. This is the only American tortoise that can actually make its way through the trade with very rare but proper paperwork. And this person just wanted a better situation for her. He's done a fantastic job with her. She is unbelievably pristine and healthy and absolutely gorgeous. Look at that, Texas tortoise. So Texas tortoises do come from more arid habitats, and when they're younger, they tend to be darker colored like this. It enables them to heat up faster, because when you're a young tortoise, you are far more vulnerable than you will be as an adult tortoise. So these animals need to have quick activity patterns. If they're dark, they can warm up really fast, resume feeding and explore whatever they want to explore, and then boom, it's right back to hiding under cover to avoid any kind of predation or overheating, because when they're dark, they can, again, heat up fast, but actually get to a dangerous level very quickly. As they get older, adult tortoises are far more active than what they were like when they were babies, so once they get to be older, they can lose some of that color and become lighter because they kind of know what they're doing more. That's kind of an easy way of putting it. Nonetheless, from hatchling all the way to adult, they are stunning animals, and I absolutely love them, and I am so excited to have a third Texas tortoise here at Garden State Tortoise. We have gopher tortoises. This is a very highly protected American species that most people, if anybody, has. We were given special permission to take in these two, a female that was kept captive for 35 years and a male 43 years. Put them outside and they did something unbelievable. They actually started digging burrows like they would in the wild, which is something I really wanted to see them do. Now, we're getting out to their pen pretty late today, but today was awesome. It was super warm, but this is it. This is the cutoff. It's not going to happen anymore. In fact, the weather is gonna snap pretty rapidly over the next 36 hours. So I need to make a difficult decision. Do I leave the gopher tortoises out here to brumate or hibernate on their own deep in their burrows, or do I bring them in? Let's see what they're up to. It's a little bit late, sun has moved off, so I don't know. I think we might be too late. Okay, well. Can you see this? There is a tortoise butt right there. Gopher tortoises. Why are they called gopher tortoises? Well, right here. They dig burrows like a gopher would, and they actually are responsible for offering refuge to upwards of 350 different species. The eastern indigo snake, for example, is the most commonly seen species down in the same burrow in harmony as a gopher tortoise. They are a keystone species, and it's part of the reason why they are so environmentally valuable. But what we're dealing with here is, well, these are gopher tortoises that are in New Jersey. Now, they're going to live their lives out here legally and safely, but it's up to us to make this difficult decision. Do we leave them to brumate naturally outdoors here in southern New Jersey, or do I intercept them now and bring them into safety? The problem with bringing them in, I can't let them burrow indoors. There's no way to recreate a situation like this because gopher tortoises will dig sometimes as deep as 30 or 40 feet. And they need to be able to do that because that's how they safely escape the freeze line. We don't have much of a freeze line here in southern New Jersey, but we absolutely do get really darn cold. And I just don't know really how to assess
Nobody knows. Nobody knows because nobody keeps them because you're not allowed to keep them. And the people that did keep them kept them inside, I think, right?
Well, yeah, actually, the male, Blondie, he pretty much lived primarily indoors. He did get some outdoor time, but Bigfoot, the female that's responsible for digging this huge burrow, she did get to burrow and dig and do her thing outdoors for the summer, but then she was brought in for the winter. Gopher tortoises do naturally occur all the way up into South Carolina, and historically they were even in North Carolina, so they absolutely can take cold temperatures, and because they dig these burrows, they're out of that kind of harmful zone. They are able to control humidity and even the temperature down there. So even when the temperature out here in the air is in the teens, down there at its lowest, it might be 50, 55 degrees, but in some cases it could be as high as 70. So they really are safe. And also they did choose to dig into a spot that doesn't flood by any means. This is an upland pine area on our property, which is exactly what they would be doing in Florida. So what I want to do is I at least want to see if I can get an idea for how long this thing is or how deep it is. And that might help me make a decision. I think she's actually in the way. This is part of the, whoa! She's getting so mad. You hear him?
I mean, is it him?
Holy cow, did he start his burrow over there?
Okay,
No
he's not
kidding.
even burrowed down yet. Look at that.
He's digging right now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. I don't know what to do. This is, you know, like Casey said, we have nothing to go off here. You know, nobody keeps these animals. We want our animals to do everything naturally here. And we have a lot of success keeping Florida species outdoors, like Chief Brody, the alligator snapping turtle, our Florida box turtles. They never come indoors. They handle the winter just fine. But I don't know.
But I think part of the issue could be too, like, they're very fresh in this enclosure, so did they have enough time to dig a burrow deep enough to handle the fall? Or is this something that in nature they'd be working on for a long time so that by the time winter hits, they've already got these 20, 30, 40-foot burrows in place to where they can go down deeper if they need to or come up higher if they want to? Mm-hmm. That's one of my questions.
It's definitely a concern.
Yeah. It's cool they're behaving naturally, but do we know, you know, if this is the right time?
If I can just get an accurate measurement on her burrow, you know, that will help me make my decision. Here's the pluses of the situation. This is southern coastal New Jersey. Perfect sandy substrate here in the outskirts of the Pine Barrens, which is similar to some of the Florida habitats and even habitats in Georgia and the Carolinas that they would experience. It's well drained. She picked a great spot to do this. She is an extremely healthy animal that acts wild, which is what we want to see. And I'm gonna grab her right now. Ready for this? All right, Bigfoot, I'm doing this for your own good.
She moves quick.
There we go. Okay. Here, Mama. Just give me a couple minutes. I just want to see what you're working with here, okay, girl? Wow.
How far is it?
It's still going. All right, we are at...
It's not bending, is it?
No. 5 feet. That is safe for where we are. Hello. How are you? How you doing? You want to go back in there? You're probably wondering what this big stupid yellow thing is. Go ahead.
Get out and move away.
Just trying to get eyes on just how good that is down there. So, she's definitely...
Honey, you're in the splash zone.
I'm in the splash zone. This is really a wonderful burrow, you know? All right, doing what I want them to do. They're not just sitting out because it's not the most ideal day. They're starting to burrow into their greenhouses. Looking good, looking a little groggy, which is normal this time of year. Hopefully I can take a little bit of a breath of fresh air with this. But here's what's gotta happen. I wanna get updated fecals on these animals to see if the flagellates are gone. That's what we want. But we've got healthy, heavy tortoises here, and that is awesome. Obviously I gotta keep watching for a sign that something is going south, but seeing them behave this way is not a sign that things are going south. But listen, we need our veterinarian to do those fecals, but we also need our veterinarian for something else. This week, he's going to be coming out with a massive scale, because what we need to do, we've got to get all of our giant tortoises indoors for the winter, because unlike the Hermann's tortoises, those guys and girls do not brumate or hibernate. So Chris Lambert, our vet, is going to come here with a big scale, and we're going to get accurate, updated weights and health assessments on these massive animals that have to come spend the indoors with us here, and you are not going to want to miss that. Thanks again to Grow Therapy for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check them out through the link in the description.